Alrighty, hey, what's up, PokeMoshPit? It has been about like 3 or maybe like a month or so since I've last uploaded here. This is InertFury, and today I've got a fairly good 5th generation standard OU match against one of my friends, Basti, also known as Golduck here on YouTube. Had it at one of the streams that I recently hosted about a couple weeks ago, but that's kind of irrelevant information. Anyways, let's go ahead and jump into the team preview. I'm using kind of a new team that I've built over past 3 weeks. It's based around a late game sweeping Swords Dance Lucario. Kind of got a Scarfitar as well, pretty much to assist out Lucario by getting rid of his appropriate checks and counters, such as Gengar and Latios, etc., etc. I've got Skarmory, Gliscor to set up, Gliscor rather, to set up hazards and phase and pretty much check Ferrothorns and all that. I've got Latios pretty much to handle Rotom Wash, and I've got Rotom Wash just to be Rotom Wash like. And looking at his team is actually really similar to mine, except he's got a Terrakion as opposed to my Lucario. He's got a Ferrothorn as opposed to my Skarmory, and instead of my Latios, he has Latios. So, pretty similar teams. I'm thinking that his team, T-Tar might be rock support. Ferrothorn might be, Spike, Leech Seed, Standardness. Gliscor is probably going to be, the regular wall. Terrakion's probably either going to be choice or banded depending upon what set his Rotom is. Latios is probably going to be a choice spec for more an offensive hitter, and then Rotom might be there for support and wisping and pain splitting and being annoying. So I'm figuring he's either going to lead with his Weather Starter or his Rotom expecting my Weather Starter, so pretty much I'm just going to generically lead with my own Rotom because that's always the safest bet for me, and what can I say, I kind of like Rotom leads. So anyways, let's go ahead and jump right into the battle. So like I said, both of us are going to lead with our Rotom. I do have a Resto Chesto Rotom Wash, so it isn't Scarfed, so me outspeeding and hitting my Volt Switch first pretty much tells me that he also isn't Scarfed, which means that he's probably the bulkier set that's got Will-O-Wisp and Pain Split. So I'm going to pretty much go out into my solid check for Rotom Wash, which is my Latios, and of course he's going to go for the Volt Switch as well, and he's going to go right out into his Tyranitar. Now at this point I'm figuring that he might, just set up the rocks, and just want to get those up, early right on in the game. So I'm just going to hard switch out over to my Skarmory. But he actually goes for the Pursuit, and this tells me one of two things. It tells me either A, he doesn't necessarily have rocks, or B, he just wants my Latios out of the way. So, like I said, I just hard switched rather out into Skarmory, pretty much to get up spikes and scout whether he has Ice Beam or Fire Blast. And he's going for Ice Beam, and he's still not necessarily setting up his rocks, so kind of at this point I'm thinking that he might not necessarily have rocks. So basically I'm just going to use his T-Tar pretty much as setup fodder, so I'm just setting up spikes and spikes and spikes, and he actually predicted me to switch out, and he went for a Crunch, that or he was hoping for a defense drop, which I don't know why he would be hoping for a defense drop unless he's got Stone Edge, which wouldn't necessarily make sense on a mixed Tyranitar because they hardly ever run Stone Edge anymore. Or at least the ones that have Pursuit don't necessarily run Stone Edge because you wouldn't want to run Pursuit as your sole attacking Dark move. Tangent achieved, but anyways, I'm just going to go ahead and get up my third layer of spikes up. He's actually going to go into his Terrakion. Now, because he went into Terrakion, I'm figuring this is probably going to be probably Scarfed because his Rotom wasn't Scarfed. So right here, I know the Gliscor switch is disgustingly obvious, so I'm going to expect his Rotom Wash switch, as I'm actually going to switch as well, but I'm going to go into my Latios, predicting that. So that was pretty much one of my more solid predictions in this match. So right here, because I'm a Calm Mind bulkier set, as he's seen and as you've seen as well, because I have leftovers on it, I'm just going to go for a Roost. Just to try and get back up, to a higher hit point amount, as he's going to just Volt Switch out and just go out into his Tyranitar once again. Now, at this point, I'm still just kind of, something in the back of my head tells me, okay, he's just, feigning having rocks. He's got to have rocks. And, there's no way that this thing doesn't have rocks, and it's all this. Because, what is his last move going to be? Is he going to have Ice Beam? And I figure that, we'll just wind up seeing. So I'm going to go for a Roost. I'm like, okay, Basti, you're going to set up rocks now. There's no way that you're not going to set up rocks. This is just crazy and stupid. You have to get him up. And he just goes for Crunch. So pretty much I know that at this point, this pretty much tells me that can't talk, that this Tyranitar doesn't have rocks, so I'm kind of puzzled as to what his last move is. So right here, I kind of stupidly just went for Roar. Not entirely sure why I did that again. Part of me thought that, I don't know why I went for it. It was probably either a misclick or I was just being just a stupid person on live stream, which is easily, you know, possible. So I'm going to go into Gliscor. It is a Sandville Gliscor, and then I see finally that his last move is Roar. Because of Sandville, it actually misses, so that was kind of funny. Not necessarily sure how much it mattered. It would have depended on what he roared me out to, and I have no idea what he would have roared me out to because you can't necessarily know. I mean, I have 4 other things I could have been roared out to. 2 of them would have been good. 2 of them, not so much. So, basically I'm going to get his Gliscor out here. I'm going to taunt him, and then I'm just going to go for an Earthquake. Really kind of a stupid play on my part. I should have either taunted again, because I was initially expecting his Ferrothorn to come out, and I was like, why would he bring out his Ferrothorn? You know, he's just going to taunt. You know, looking back in retrospect, I was like, he could have just, you know, he wasn't going to be able to set up anything because I was going to taunt him. So basically the point is that was a dumb play, and I shouldn't have done it. So now I'm going to do what I should have done and just gone right out to Rotom instead of, you know, going for an Earthquake again, expecting his own Rotom to come back in. So I'm going to Volt Switch out, kind of thinking that he's going to go for the Pain Split because my Volt Switches are going to doing, you know, a fair amount to his Rotom. So I'm going to go out into my Scarftar and pretty much just threaten this thing out with a Stone Edge because I figure, okay, at this point, Rotom is the scariest thing on his team because Ferrothorn I can check with both Gliscor and Skarmory. Terrakion, I can do the same thing. I'm not necessarily scared of his Tyranitar, and, you know, everything else on his team I can pretty much handle and have, you know, appropriate checks and workarounds. Rotom is the thing that scared me the most. So he just safe hard switches over into his Ferrothorn as I'm going to go out to Lucario, aptly nicknamed Terra Who? Because it's a dual priority justified Sword Stance set with a Bullet Punch, so it pretty much just like laughs at Terrakion's face. So right here, I know that the Gliscor switch is, you know, disgustingly obvious, so I'm going to pull a double switch back over into Rotom. And right here, I do have Hidden Power Ice, and so I'm going to predict his Ferrothorn switch to come back in. Not Ferrothorn switch. I'm going to expect his Ferrothorn switch pretty much. And I'm going to wind up getting a crit on this Hidden Power Ice. Now I went and ran damage calcs. A normal Hidden Power Ice is deducing that he was a sassy natured and had max special defense, would have done 13 to 15%, which was 47 to 56 hit points. So I probably had like a small percentage point, depending upon what his health stat was, to hit KO him. But I mean, still, probably that crit did matter, and that was kind of costly. So he goes into Terrakion. I'm going to go into Skarmory. I didn't notice what he did, like whenever I initially had the match, so I wasn't sure if he went for Lex or something. He actually went for Rock Slide, which that would have done like 93 to 109 damage. So I could have like easily lived 2 and then just gone for Roost just to stall him out. So I know he's going to switch out now because there's no point in him trying to hopelessly do this. So I Whirlwind out on his Rotom switch, bring him back into Terrakion. And so right here he goes for Stone Edge. I know that because of this damage right here that he's definitely Choice Scarfed. And I did not want to Brave Bird there. Brave Birding there was a misclick. I wanted to like Roost up, get to higher health, and then Whirlwind him out again. Brave Birding there was a mistake. I know that generally that's not something that's supposed to be said, but Brave Birding there was a mistake. And Fizzy, I openly apologize, but Brave Birding there was a mistake on my part. So he brings in Rotom, he kills off my Skarmory. Not like too necessarily big of an issue because, you know, Skarmory couldn't have really done much except, you know, just phase out more things. So, I mean, pretty much, and 2 of his other guys had Levitate anyway, so it wouldn't have been, well, one of them did, one of them's a flying type, so it wouldn't have really benefited me much to keep it around regardless. Still, I would have, you know, liked to have gone out and phased stuff out because that stuff's fun. So, Lucario, Tyranitar, I'm just going to safe close combat because I'm figuring, you know, Basty's probably going to sack this thing because the other 3 things he has he kind of needs more than his Tyranitar, plus, you know, both of us have weather regardless anyways. So I'm going to go into Rotom as he actually pulls a double switch over to his Latios, which is, you know, kind of backing up on the play that I did earlier. He accidentally missolved this and didn't give it Levitate, so that was just kind of funny. And right here, another stupid play on my part. I should have sacrificed Gliscor. I should have let Rotom stay alive because I still needed Rotom for his own Gliscor. So that was a stupid play on my part. So I'm going to go into Scarftar. I'm going to outpace and hit it with some Crunch. That's necessarily why the missolve didn't matter, because I'm almost fairly certain that Crunch easily KOs Latios rather, from that range. So right here, I pretty much kind of have to go into Gliscor, and then I'm going to have to taunt him to make sure that he doesn't get any more Protects and or Sword Dances off. So pretty much right here, I figured he's just going to Protect, you know, just to get up, you know, to a higher health point so that he can live my hits. And because I have Taunt and Roost and Stealth Rock and Earthquake on this thing, I have no way to hit Gliscor. So he's not going to be able to set up any Sword Dances, as I said, it's like perfectly fine. And right here, I want to make sure that he is not going to, he's not going to Earthquake my predicted switch. So he just went for Ice Fang, and because he missed due to the Sand Veil, I know that he's going to go for it again, and he's not going to go for an Earthquake predicting either my Lucario or Tyranitar switch. So I have Ice Punch on this thing. Kinda don't know why, because I didn't Power House on that. Probably should have Superpower, but for this one scenario, Ice Punch, you know, sort of helped. Now, I know that Close Combat, assuming he's assuming he's a defensive one, does 23 to 27%. So I mean, at this point, it was. I didn't think that I could score the KO, so I figured that my only real hope was to either A, hope for a crit, or B, hope that he would Protect. Now there was a 1 in 4 chance of him protecting, and there was like a 1 in I don't even know how many chance of me scoring a crit. So pretty much my only hope there was just a Swords Dance and to hope that he would like Protect for reasons unbeknownst to me. So pretty much at this point, it's his game. Like I said earlier, sacking Rotom pretty much hosed me, because had I would have had Rotom here, I could have, you know, gone for Hidden Power Ice and, you know, easily just taken out his Gliscor in one shot, as opposed to my Gliscor being in here getting 2-hit KO'd by an Ice Fang. So, but can't win them all, but you can kind of, you know, do it up. But regardless, that was still a really good game, Basti. Guys, I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you very much for watching. As always, I truly appreciate it. If you enjoyed it, come check me out. Go check out Basti, sub to MoshPit. Come check out Beta as well. And guys, I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.